The film opens with a breathtaking aerial shot of Amsterdam still wrapped in the hush of early morning. The city rests under a pale golden sky, where the first rays of sunlight shimmer gently over the winding canals. The water glows like liquid glass, rippling softly as a lone boat drifts silently beneath an arched bridge. Reflections of slender gabled houses, their facades painted in deep reds, browns, and creams, shimmer in the canal's mirror-like surface. A faint morning mist rolls through the narrow streets, cloaking the city in a veil of dreamlike calm. As the camera glides closer, the iconic bicycles of Amsterdam line the bridges, hundreds of them, glistening with tiny droplets of dew. The city slowly begins to stir. Somewhere in the distance, the resonant toll of church bells breaks the silence, echoing across the rooftops. A few pedestrians appear, bakers unlocking their shops, trams beginning to hum along the rails, the distant call of seagulls blending with the whisper of the wind. Then, through the thinning mist, the majestic silhouette of the Rijksmuseum emerges. Its Gothic Revival architecture stands proud and timeless, a masterpiece of red brick, spires, and stone archways that seem to touch both sky and history. Warm sunlight spills across its facade, bringing out rich tones of terracotta and cream, while ornate carvings and sculptures catch the light like delicate brushstrokes of gold. The building looks less like a museum and more like a cathedral of art, a gateway between eras, where centuries of creativity are kept alive. The camera drifts through the grand archway beneath the central tower, where cyclists glide quietly, their wheels echoing softly against the cobblestones. Inside, a faint glow spills from the tall windows, revealing the awakening interior corridors lined with paintings still resting in early morning shadow. Museum staff move quietly, preparing for the day, dusting display cases, unlocking gallery doors, and adjusting the lighting to perfection. As the film lingers on these intimate details, the city fully awakens beyond the museum walls. Sunlight now dances across the canals. The air hums with life and anticipation. The camera pans back, capturing the entire facade of the Rijksmuseum basking in the golden glow of morning. Birds soar overhead, their wings catching the light as the sky turns from amber to blue. In this serene opening, Amsterdam is not just a setting, it is a living canvas. The scene embodies the connection between the city and its art, a place where history, light, and imagination converge. The Rijksmuseum, standing at the heart of it all, opens its doors not merely to visitors, but to the stories, emotions, and visions that have defined Dutch culture for centuries. The day begins not just for a museum, but for an entire world of art waiting to be rediscovered. As morning light floods through the tall, arched windows of the Rijksmuseum, the scene transitions from the awakening city to the museum's grand interior. The camera glides past soaring columns and frescoed ceilings adorned with intricate patterns of gold and cobalt blue. Dust motes shimmer in the sunlight, drifting lazily through the air like echoes of the past. The sound of footsteps reverberates softly across marble floors, mingling with the gentle creak of wooden doors and the distant hum of life awakening beyond the walls. This is not merely a building, it is a vision. The heart of a nation made visible. Conceived at the dawn of the 19th century, the Rijksmuseum was born from a desire to celebrate the Dutch spirit, a nation that rose from the sea, shaped by wind, water, and resilience. The architecture itself tells a story. The pointed arches and stained glass windows echo Gothic grandeur, while the careful symmetry reflects the precision and discipline that define Dutch art and engineering. Every mural, every sculpted relief, every tile is a tribute to the Netherlands, long and luminous. Journey through history, the camera pans slowly across a vast mural depicting scenes of exploration, craftsmanship, and triumph, ships sailing to distant horizons, inventors at their workbenches, artists capturing the light of their homeland on canvas. These images symbolize a time when the Dutch Republic was a beacon of trade, science, and art, its influence rippling far beyond its shores. The Rijksmuseum was envisioned as the vessel to hold that spirit, not just the art itself, but the soul that created it. In a graceful tracking shot, the camera moves through the museum's corridors, revealing a succession of galleries filled with treasures, maps, manuscripts, sculptures, and portraits. Each artifact seems to breathe silent witnesses to centuries of ambition, innovation, and beauty. The soundscape swells with faint orchestral strings, evoking a feeling of reverence and pride. Visitors begin to enter now, stepping into the light-filled atrium where history feels alive and immediate. A young artist stands sketching the ornate ironwork while an elderly couple gazes upward, their faces glowing in awe. The museum, once a quiet monument, becomes a living dialogue between generations, between creators and observers. Between the past and the present, the camera rises slowly toward the grand skylight, where sunlight pours through glass and steel, illuminating the words inscribed across the walls, a silent dedication to the enduring power of art and memory. Here, in this moment, the Rijksmuseum stands as more than a collection of masterpieces. It is the embodiment of Dutch identity, resilience, and creativity, a temple of national memory, breathing with life, light, and legacy. The camera glides forward through a long, vaulted corridor filled with soft morning light, the Gallery of Honor, the beating heart of the Rijksmuseum. The sound fades to a reverent hush as footsteps echo across polished stone floors. Visitors move slowly, almost reverently, through the luminous hall, their faces turned upward toward paintings that have shaped centuries of artistic vision. Golden rays of sunlight stream through stained glass, spilling over centuries-old frames and catching the glint of oil and varnish. On either side, the walls are alive with masterpieces, portraits, still lifes, and quiet domestic scenes that together form a visual symphony of Dutch artistry. The air feels sacred, as though each painting breathes with the soul of the artist who created it. The camera drifts past Vermeer, the Milkmaid, where a simple moment of daily life becomes eternal. The woman's blue and yellow garments glow with a soft radiance. The stream of milk pouring from her jug seems frozen in time, yet endlessly flowing. Every brushstroke carries the scent of bread, the texture of light, the serenity of the ordinary. It is art transformed into poetry, the Dutch mastery of simplicity and illumination. Next, the lens lingers on the vibrant energy of Frans Hals' portraits bursting with movement and laughter. Faces alive with confidence and humanity. The painter's rapid strokes capture fleeting expressions as though the people themselves might step out of their frames at any moment. The camera moves in close, revealing the texture of paint, the rhythm of motion, the pulse of life. Further down the hall, the color palette deepens. The light shifts from gold to amber as the film approaches the centerpiece of the museum, the monumental Rembrandt Hall. Visitors instinctively slow their pace, drawn forward by something magnetic and timeless. The sound design subtly builds a low, orchestral hum, echoing the grandeur of what awaits. At the far end, bathed in an otherworldly glow, hangs the night watch. It towers over the room like a living drama, a frozen moment of action and emotion. The figures seem to step forward from the shadows. Soldiers, drummers, a small girl with a chicken, illuminated by Rembrandt's genius for light and darkness. The chiaroscuro effect breathes life into the scene, transforming mirror oil and canvas into a world in motion. The camera circles, slowly, capturing the awe on visitors' faces, silent, still, almost in prayer before the masterpiece. The light flickers gently across the painting's surface, revealing depth, texture, and a whisper of time. The soundtrack fades into a heartbeat-like rhythm, symbolizing how deeply this single artwork pulses within Dutch identity. As the sequence ends, the camera rises, showing the entire gallery from above, the long corridor glowing in warm tones. The visitors like figures in a living painting. The Gallery of Honor stands revealed as what it truly is, not just a hallway of art, but a bridge between centuries, a place where the Dutch masters speak across time, and the heart of a nation still beats through color and light. The camera drifts slowly toward the grand chamber, where Rembrandt van Ryn's The Night Watch commands the room. A soft, orchestral hum fills the air, low cellos, distant violins, echoing the heartbeat of something vast and eternal. The painting looms before the viewer like a portal through time, its monumental frame glowing faintly beneath carefully angled lights. As the camera closes in, every detail begins to breathe. Rembrandt's brushwork pulses with energy. Figures emerge from the darkness, musketeers caught mid-step, a drummer's stick frozen in air, a captain gesturing with authority. Faces turn, eyes meet, and the composition surges with movement, as though the entire militia might march out of the canvas at any moment. The chiaroscuro, that masterful dance between shadow and light, transforms the scene from static portrait to living theater. It is not merely a depiction of men, it is a portrait of motion itself, of civic pride and human vitality captured forever in paint. The film lingers on the central figures: Captain Frans Banning Kook, dressed in black with a crimson sash, and Lieutenant Willem van Ruytenberch, radiant in pale gold. Between them, a young girl glows mysteriously, bathed in a supernatural light. She carries a dead chicken at her waist, a strange, symbolic presence representing the militia's emblem. Around her, the air shimmers with energy. The camera tilts upward slowly, as if the light within the painting spills outward into the real world. Then the scene cuts to modern-day restorers, scientists and art conservators working carefully behind glass, using microscopes and lasers to reveal hidden layers beneath centuries of varnish. Their gloved hands move with surgical precision, cleaning and documenting every square inch. It's a stunning visual contrast. Technology and tradition side by side, the future preserving the past. On digital screens, Rembrandt's brushstrokes appear magnified like landscapes, valleys of pigment, ridges of light. The narration through imagery deepens. The painting becomes a metaphor for the Netherlands itself, dynamic, disciplined, and united by purpose. In Rembrandt's vision, every citizen has a place, every movement, a role, every shadow, a meaning. His use of light becomes symbolic of the Dutch spirit emerging from darkness. Resilient and radiant, the camera pans across the faces of visitors gazing at the night watch. Some stand in silence. Others move closer, lost in the endless details: the gleam of a musket, the texture of lace, the gleam of a dog's fur in the shadows. reflections of the painting ripple faintly on the polished floor, merging the viewer and the art in a single image, the living and the eternal side by side. As the music swells, the camera slowly pulls back, capturing the entire gallery. The massive canvas glows against the dimly lit walls, surrounded by reverent stillness. In that moment, the Night Watch is not just a painting, it is a heartbeat, a living chronicle of motion and pride, forever capturing the energy of a nation that once ruled the seas and still commands the realm of art. The light fades gently, leaving the masterpiece framed in quiet reverence, a symbol of the Netherlands' enduring brilliance, its people's courage, and the timeless power of human creativity. The screen fades from the warm glow of the Night Watch to a sweeping panorama of 17th-century Amsterdam, recreated through paintings, maps, and models displayed within the museum's galleries. The air hums with the sense of expansion, of a nation stepping boldly into the world. The camera glides past glass cases filled with ancient navigational instruments, compasses, globes, and ship models, each a relic of an age when Dutch vessels ruled the seas and connected continents. Soft, ambient sounds fill the scene, the creak of wooden ships, the cry of gulls, the rhythmic splash of waves against hulls. This is the Dutch Golden Age, a time when art, science, and commerce flourished together. The camera pans across oil paintings depicting bustling harbors, merchants at work, and candlelit interiors where families gather around maps of the world. The richness of the imagery mirrors the prosperity of the time, glinting brass instruments, shimmering silks, and the glow of candlelight reflected in polished wood. Through the galleries, history feels alive. The Rijksmuseum becomes a time machine, its halls echoing with the sounds of discovery and ambition. A close-up reveals a finely detailed ship model, its sails stretched as if ready to catch the wind. Each miniature rope and plank tells of journeys to distant lands, Indonesia, Japan, Africa, and the Americas, the vast maritime network that made the Netherlands a global power. The scene transitions to displays of exotic treasures brought back by Dutch traders, Chinese porcelain, Japanese lacquerware, and delicate ivory carvings. The museum's lighting glimmers softly across their surfaces, evoking both awe and introspection. These artifacts speak of wealth and curiosity, but also of the complex, often turbulent exchanges between cultures. The camera then moves through a gallery of portraits, merchants, scholars, and scientists immortalized by the Dutch masters. Their calm, intelligent gazes meet the lens as if they understand their place in history. Beside them, still lifes overflow with symbols of abundance, golden goblets, ripe fruit, polished silverware. Yet within the luxury, there is humility, a reminder of mortality, of fleeting beauty, of the balance between prosperity and virtue that defined the Dutch worldview. A rich, Baroque orchestral score rises as the film overlays images of canal cities, shipyards, and towering windmills, the engines of progress that turned a small nation into a global force. The interplay of wind, water, and light mirrors the interplay of art, science, and trade that powered the Dutch Golden Age. The Rijksmuseum's displays weave these threads together into a tapestry of human achievement. The galleries do not merely show art, they show a civilization at its zenith, painters capturing the poetry of everyday life, cartographers charting new worlds, and architects building cities that still stand as masterpieces of design and resilience. As the sequence closes, the camera lingers once more on the museum's grand corridors, where paintings of ships hang beside portraits of the men who commanded them. The sound fades into silence, replaced only by the faint echo of footsteps, as if the ghosts of explorers and artists still walk these halls, whispering their stories through the brushstrokes and artifacts they left behind. The Dutch Golden Age unfolds not as distant history, but as a living spirit, one that continues to flow through the heart of the Rijks and through every visitor who stands in awe of its treasures. The grandeur of the Golden Age fades into a softer, quieter atmosphere. The orchestral music hushes to a gentle melody, a single piano note echoing beneath the distant murmur of footsteps. The camera drifts through smaller galleries now, where the treasures are not vast paintings or maps of empires, but the delicate handiwork of daily life, the intimate soul of Dutch culture captured in objects of devotion, craft, and care. Glass cases glimmer under warm light. Inside them rest porcelain teapots painted with cobalt blue landscapes, intricate silver candlesticks that once flickered in 17th-century homes, and finely woven lace so delicate it seems spun from air. The camera lingers on each artifact, zooming close to reveal texture, pattern, the touch of a maker's hand centuries ago. Every object tells a story not of kings or generals, but of the quiet rhythm of ordinary life. Meals shared, prayers whispered, letters written by candlelight. A slow tracking shot reveals rows of Delftware ceramics, their blue and white designs echoing the Dutch love for clarity, order, and beauty. Bowls adorned with windmills and tulips, plates painted with pastoral scenes of cows and calm rivers, everyday items elevated into art. Each brushstroke reflects the Dutch belief that beauty belongs not only in palaces, but in kitchens, gardens, and family tables. The camera moves next to ornate furniture and decorative arts, dark oak cabinets carved with intricate motifs, gilded clocks, whose hands still gleam beneath the light, and mirrors framed in silver filigree that once reflected the faces of generations long gone. These are the relics of a society that found elegance in function, art in simplicity. The craftsmanship speaks of discipline, patience, and pride, the essence of the Dutch spirit rendered in wood, metal, and clay. A change in tone brings the viewer to the costume gallery. Mannequins dressed in the elaborate garments of the 1600s and 1700s. Satin gowns shimmer beside somber black attire trimmed with lace. The fabrics rustle softly in the artificial breeze, conjuring echoes of a time when appearance reflected morality and restraint. In the folds of those garments lies the story of a culture that balanced wealth with modesty, luxury with humility. The film transitions to still lifes, those quiet masterpieces where fruit, flowers, and silverware gleam in eternal stillness. The camera glides across the surface of one such painting, revealing the perfection of detail, the reflection of a window on a wine glass, a half-peeled lemon curling like a ribbon, a single droplet of water poised to fall. These paintings, paired with the physical objects they depict, create a dialogue between art and life, a reminder that even the smallest things contain infinite beauty when seen with care. As soft music swells again, the scene widens to show visitors leaning close to the display cases, their faces reflected beside the centuries-old treasures. Children point, artists sketch, and photographers capture the shimmer of glass and metal. The Rijksmuseum, in these quiet galleries, becomes a sanctuary of observation, a place that teaches us to see the world anew. The section ends with a slow pan over a table set beneath golden light, a recreation of a 17th-century Dutch interior. A pitcher, a loaf of bread, a folded letter. Simple things, yet together they hold the poetry of a people who found transcendence not in grandeur, but in grace, in the artistry of everyday life. The scene opens with a slow aerial shot over the Netherlands, vast stretches of lowland bathed in golden light. Canals glisten like silver ribbons, and windmills turn gently in the morning breeze. The air is soft, almost translucent. The landscape feels infinite, suspended between sea and sky. This is the world that shaped Dutch art, a land built on reflection, light, and rhythm. As the music swells with a calm, ethereal tone, the camera transitions from real landscapes to the paintings within the line between reality and art begins to blur. Clouds in the sky melt seamlessly into painted clouds by Jacob van Roystel. The glimmer of sunlight on water mirrors the rippling brushwork of Albert Cuyp and Jan van Goyen. Through these transitions, the viewer begins to understand that Dutch art is not merely inspired by nature, it is born from it. The camera glides through a gallery filled with landscapes. Windmills rise against endless skies. Fields of tulips stretch in luminous color. Ships rest on tranquil waters beneath vast, moody heavens. In each painting, the horizon is low and the sky immense, a reminder that in the Netherlands, the heavens dominate the world below. Light is not simply illumination here, it is emotion, movement, spirit. The Dutch painters mastered it like no other, capturing how it dances across water, hides in shadow, and returns to reveal truth. A quiet montage follows, rain tapping gently on the museum's glass roof, sunlight flickering through the candleside trees outside, reflections rippling across the surface of the museum's courtyard pond. These modern visuals echo the same patterns seen in the paintings centuries later. The rhythm remains unchanged. Inside the galleries, the camera lingers on Vermeer's soft interiors once more. A woman stands by a window, bathed in pale morning light. Outside that window, unseen but felt, lies the Dutch sky. Constant, eternal. The way Vermeer painted that light, pure, golden, sacred, embodies the Dutch aesthetic more than words ever could. It is not just visual beauty, but a quiet philosophy, the belief that truth lives in clarity. That light reveals not only objects, but souls. The sound design deepens distant water, a soft breeze, a faint echo of bells. The film cuts to slow-motion shots of Amsterdam's canals at dusk, reflections of buildings shimmering like brushstrokes in liquid color. The Rijksmuseum's own windows glow faintly in the distance, as though the art within breathes the same light as the world outside. The voice of the visuals becomes meditative now, a visual essay on the relationship between nature and creation. For the Dutch masters, the land was their teacher. For the Rijksmuseum, the art is the land remembered. Through centuries, the same light that falls over Amsterdam today once illuminated Rembrandt's studio, Vermeer's quiet rooms, and Roystel's open skies. As the scene closes, the camera rises gently above the museum, into the open sky. Clouds drift across the sun, and the light changes bright, then soft, then golden again. This shifting illumination becomes the metaphor for Dutch art itself, ever-changing, deeply human, forever chasing the perfect balance between shadow and brilliance. The scene opens in near silence. The camera pans slowly across scaffolding rising inside the grand atrium of the Rijksmuseum, a cathedral of art undergoing resurrection. Dust particles drift through the air like golden snow as sunlight filters through sheets of plastic and metal beams. Workers in hard hats and gloves move with quiet precision, their movements almost reverent. The museum, once alive with visitors, now breathes in stillness, a sleeping giant being gently awakened. Archival footage flashes across the screen, faded photographs of the building's facade before restoration, its colors muted by time, cracked paint, darkened murals, worn stone. Then, a dissolve to modern-day images, artisans polishing marble, painters restoring frescoes, architects studying blueprints under warm lamplight. The sound design blends the scrape of tools, the click of cameras, and the faint hum of machinery into a symphony of renewal. A slow voice of imagery unfolds. This is not mere renovation. It is rebirth. After nearly a decade of meticulous restoration, completed in 2013, the Rijksmuseum emerged, transformed, brighter, open, and renewed, yet faithful to its historic soul. The camera moves upward through the central atrium, now bathed in natural light streaming from vast glass ceilings. The space feels weightless, as if the walls themselves inhale. The once dark corridors have become luminous pathways where art and architecture meet in perfect balance. The film lingers on artisans restoring centuries-old murals, brushes, dipping into pigments that match the originals, colors that return to life after centuries of silence. Intricate tilework gleams beneath fresh polish, and sculptures once dulled by dust shine with the softness of human touch. It's a poetic contrast, hands of the present reviving the visions of the past. The soundtrack swells gently, violins rising, a steady rhythm of progress. The camera glides through the reopened galleries, clean lines, soft light, and open space guiding the visitor's gaze toward the masterpieces. The design, by Spanish architects Cruz y Ortiz, feels both modern and timeless, a dialogue between steel and stone, light and legacy. Scenes of reopening day follow crowds gathering outside the museum's archway, cyclists pausing to watch as the red ribbon is cut. The doors swing open, and light pours out like a flood. Visitors enter in awe, their footsteps echoing once more through halls that had waited 10 long years. Children look upward at towering murals. Elderly art lovers smile through tears. The Rijksmuseum breathes again, not as a relic of history, but as a living, evolving home of art. The film cuts to a wide shot of the museum's exterior at sunset, the restored facade glowing a deep, warm red against the evening sky. Reflections shimmer in the water of the surrounding pools, doubling its beauty. The voice of the imagery whispers that restoration is not only about stone and paint, it is about memory, care, and belief, the conviction that beauty must be preserved for the future. The scene ends in quiet reverence. The camera tilts upward, following a single beam of golden light as it travels across a restored fresco, touching faces painted centuries ago. The Rijksmuseum stands renewed, proof that even time, with all its wear and silence, cannot diminish the spirit of art. The scene opens with the soft murmur of morning in the museum's courtyard. Cyclists glide through the grand archway beneath the central tower, their wheels echoing gently against the stone. Sunlight dances on the reflecting pool outside, where the museum's red brick facade mirrors itself in ripples of gold. The Rijksmuseum stands serene, but alive, not frozen in history, but pulsing with the rhythm of the city around it. The camera follows a stream of visitors. Entering through the glass doors, students, families, travelers from every corner of the world. Inside, the museum fills with quiet voices, footsteps, laughter, and awe. The air carries a hum of curiosity, like the soft buzz of a living organism. The soundtrack blends this human energy with delicate strings and piano, creating an atmosphere of wonder and connection. In one gallery, a young girl sketches the Milkmaid, her pencil tracing Vermeer's light with the same care the master once gave his brush. Nearby, an elderly couple stands hand in hand before the night watch, their eyes reflecting its golden light. Tourists whisper, scholars observe, children point, every gaze a thread in a tapestry of shared discovery. The Rijksmuseum has become what it was always meant to be, a place where art belongs to everyone. The camera shifts to the museum's library, a soaring chamber lined with spiral staircases and ancient books. Dust floats in the sunlight streaming through tall windows, illuminating scholars lost in study. Here, the silence feels sacred, not emptiness, but attention. Every page turned, every note written continues the museum's mission to keep history alive, not through preservation alone, but through participation. Downstairs, modern life flows freely. Visitors gather in the bright cafe, sipping coffee beneath walls that once echoed with history's silence. In the gift shop, young travelers browse postcards of Rembrandt and Vermeer, carrying small fragments of Dutch genius back into the world. Outside, the museum steps become a stage. Street musicians play violins and guitars, their melodies weaving through the open air, blending with the hum of bicycles and the laughter of children. The film cuts between faces, a mosaic of humanity. A teenager stares upward in quiet awe. An artist paints in the courtyard. A mother explains a sculpture to her child. The Rijksmuseum transcends time. It is no longer a monument to the past, but a living dialogue between generations. Its walls contain not silence, but conversation. Not relics, but relationships. that as the camera glides upward through the atrium. Sunlight floods the space in pure white brilliance. The orchestra swells, blending with the sounds of voices, footsteps, and music until they become one harmonious current, the heartbeat of a museum alive with people, culture, and spirit. In this moment, the Rijksmuseum ceases to be just a building. It becomes a living ecosystem of memory and imagination, a crossroads where history, art, and humanity meet. Every visitor, whether they stay for a minute or a lifetime, becomes part of its story. The film enters its final movement as evening descends over Amsterdam. The golden hues of day fade into deep blue, and the canals shimmer under the soft glow of lamplight. Reflections of the Rijksmuseum ripple gently across the water, their colors mingling with the night sky, a dream of art and architecture mirrored in liquid motion. The city quiets, but within the museum, time continues to breathe. The camera glides through the empty galleries after closing hours. The footsteps have faded, the voice is gone, yet the air feels alive, almost whispering. Paintings seem to glow faintly in the dim light, as though the stories within them stir when no one is watching. The gaze of the night watch remains unbroken. Vermeer's Milkmaid continues to pour her milk in eternal stillness. These are not just works of art, they are windows into human eternity. Soft strings rise in the background, carrying a sense of wonder and peace. The camera lingers on the brushstrokes, on the textures of marble, on the play of shadow and color. Each artwork holds not only beauty but memory, the touch of the artist's hand, the breath of a moment centuries old, preserved forever. The Rijksmuseum becomes a vessel of time itself, holding fragments of countless lives, dreams, and civilizations. The film transitions to the museum's exterior once more. Night has fully arrived. The sky above is a deep indigo, and the museum's windows glow warmly like lanterns in the dark, guardians of culture watching over the city. Reflections ripple across the pool in front, turning the scene into a living painting.